Hi guys, Jeff Marples, GPK Luxury Real Estate in San Francisco. I wanted to talk to you about the three newest buildings that are really catered to the luxury market down in South Beach and into the Yerba Buena. They call it the East Cut nowadays. But I wanted to talk to you about the Avery, 181 Fremont, and Mira. Now, all three of those buildings are either developed and they're selling new construction. And I'm going to start off with 181 Fremont because that building has been up for a while. It is a finished product. I have been touring that building, and I wanted to share some pictures of that. I wanted to share pictures of the Avery. Now, the Avery is a building that I have been doing hard hat tours on, so they're still under construction, but the glazing is up, so they're allowing people to get into the building and sort of walk around. And it's really nice from that perspective, simply because when you're buying new construction, from my point of view, you're kind of hoping and praying that the unit that you're buying is what it is. So now that we have access to the Avery, we're able to get into the building, get to that specific floor, and really see the views and get a better feel for what it's going to look like. The last building is going to be Mira. Now, Mira is built right in front of Infinity. So you're right on the waterfront. So I think personally, it has a very, very good location. And it has this very unique style. It's like a twisted style of building that's going to come up. So I'm going to share you pictures of these three complexes. Now, we're really talking more of the luxury market. Another distinguishing factor that you need to consider if you are getting into one of these buildings is simply the fact that there is a Melrose tax that is going to be an elevated Melrose tax for these three buildings. I also see it over at the Ritz-Carlton, but these three buildings have it, and you got to know, I believe it, don't quote me, but it's $8 price per square foot. So the larger units, your tax rate is going to be higher. So I want you to remember that going in, simply because, I do think it's going to hurt the sales of the building a little bit, but we're also talking about a luxury marketplace. So the luxury marketplace in the city, hey, it can go up to $15 million pretty easy. But, I'm sort of saying anything above that $2 million up range, you're a luxury buyer. In my personal opinion, you should always have luxury service regardless of your price. And that's sort of something that I always try to provide. But, when you're looking at these buildings, I want you to remember that there are alternatives if you don't like that Melrose tax. But I have to say, out of everything, 181 Fremont right now, simply because I've been in the building plenty of times, I love the interior. So I'm going to show you real quick. I'm going to switch out my screen here, and I'm going to show you some of the options that are in some of these buildings and take you right to the MLS listings, just so you could see what's going on. So here we have 181 Fremont, right? So it is a mixed-use building, guys. So you have corporate commercial downstairs, and then the top, I think it was 71 units, but I could be off on that, going to be residential. But I have to say that the architecture, it looks like the Hong Kong Shanghai Bank. If you've ever been to Hong Kong and you look at San Francisco, you'll recognize certain features that are very, very similar. But it has just a really nice high-end luxury feel. Now, this building will not have a pool, but it does have a club lounge that is very, very nice. Gym, and it's just one of these buildings that I think is just, from the high-end luxury, this would be the next level up from Millennium. I love selling Millennium back in the day. I haven't touched that building since the news broke out. I do personally think that once they solve those issues at Millennium's going to be much more attractive, simply because of a cost and a pure tax part of that, right? Because Millennium's not going to have the Melrose tax. Anyway, so let's take a look at some of the pictures of this. So this is a unit that I've been in. You can see this right here, this building right here to the left, that's actually Millennium Towers, right? And we're looking up right behind the TV screen. That's where you're going to see the San Rafael Bridge. So you're looking northeast at this point. You have Treasure Island right here, and then here you have the new Facebook Instagram building. And that, from a certain point of view, you know, that's the one bane I don't like, is that one building, because depending on what unit you're in, that front face of that Facebook building, it's just kind of a flat box. You know, I think that building looks great from the south, but, you know, looking at it, you're looking at a flat screen, basically. And that's the thing I don't necessarily like about it. And you can see it right here, you know, so you have to get elevated enough, or you just, you know, some of these buildings, you know, since this building does have that location that you're right next to the Transbay Terminal. Also, 181 Fremont, there is a bridge that connects to the top of the Transbay Terminal Park. So this is a building that you could actually walk down, have a cup of coffee, and walk straight into the park, which I think is pretty darn cool. But when you're looking at it, you know, you have this feature with the structural beams that are going up, and so the designer, they put this TV. You could also put artwork right there. That's going to sort of cover that corner. I think it makes a lot of sense. It's not like, say, one Rincon where you have a big post and you're just have the post within the unit itself. This is sort of integrated, so that's how they're sort of hiding that. I think it actually does work pretty well. But here's the view. So you can see that, look, here's that Instagram Facebook building. It's up and running. I don't think it's occupied, but when I was in this building 2 weeks ago, that's the view, guys. And when you're looking down here, see that yellow crane to the right here? That is Mira. So 181 Fremont is really within the city skyline. It has, you know, it's probably one of the most luxurious buildings, and the look and feel is just beautiful. But you're really within that city skyline. So depending on if you're a real true shopper for the views, that's really what's going to sway you, right? I mean, you know, view shoppers typically, in my opinion, they're going to see a lot of value going over to the Harrison. But we're not talking too much about the Harrison today. And from this view, look, what's that? That's Salesforce Tower right there. But you can see, look, they have really nice inserts on the ceiling. The cove ceiling's really nice. The wood floor I chose, or they chose, is really, really nice. It's more like a satin feel, more of a flat. So it doesn't have a high gloss on it. So I think it's going to wear really well. Sometimes I see that there's a wall that they put up, sometimes not. But this is just going to give you a good feel. There, you can see Millennium quite clearly right there. But this is just going to give you a good feel for the interior, the quality of construction, and some of the views. You know, they're pulling pictures from different units just to give you a feel for it. And I'm just going to sort of rifle through here a little bit. Here's another kitchen. Sometimes on some of the units, they put a wall up between the living room and the kitchen, so it's separated. In some models, they have left it out. This, I believe, is actually one of the one-bedroom models, and so they left it out. And then they also had this one, just for those people that wanted to have that open kitchen living room feel. This is another example of what they have. Now, I can't recall 100% that this is a movable island or not. That would be the one thing. I think it's actually not. Some of the bedrooms, you do have these diagonal beams that do come up. And some of the bedrooms, you know, in this bedroom particularly, I thought it was a little bit shallow. It's a little bit tight, as you can see. And so that would be the issue, in my opinion, on this building. I think the finishings are really good. You know, sometimes the bedrooms, you just got to see if it's the right layout for you. But I think the bathrooms in particular, I mean, the marble that they put in there, it's luxe. I mean, I think it's just, you know, hey, I wouldn't mind living like that, really clean. I don't think it's too family friendly. You know, I have 3 kids, so it's a little bit crazy. Here's an example of the built-in closets. This is from the sales office. It's really nice. Here's another example of a larger bedroom with a couple smaller beds in there, just to give you a flavor. I'm going to rifle through here to see if I could find any of so you can see the diagonal lines here. I think those actually do work really well. You're just going to have to live with floor that you're on to where that diagonal is coming through. But I actually thought that, I didn't really mind it. There was only one room that I thought it was kind of like, but the other rooms I thought, it creates a design element that I thought worked really well. Here's an example of the secondary bathroom. So this is not the master, this is the secondary bathroom, but still very, very luxurious, still very nice. Sort of go through here. That would be the look down. So if you look straight up at the top of the screen, that is Millennium. You look to the left, that's Salesforce Tower. And then you have the park. Now, once again, this building goes directly into the park. And I just think that's cool. And the finishing. So let's end with the finishings. They have this, I forget, African zebra wood. I think it is. Could be wrong on that. But I thought the handles, everything is sort of a one-off on this building. And look at the hallways. A lot of textures and a lot of just the subtle colors. And I just thought they put it together in such a way that I thought it was just really, really well done. Here's the club level. So you can go into the club level. There is a lounge. Last time I was in there, they were swapping out the furniture. You have a bar area. So you could bring down, you could entertain, you could bring down booze. They're not going to have stock shelf, unfortunately. But that just gives you an example of 181 Fremont, guys. Let's go to the next building. If this is going to work, I certainly hope it does, or my whole thing is kaput. This is the leading photograph of the Avery. Now, the Avery has been selling for a little bit. The building is complete. They're doing hard hat tours, and I do recommend if you're looking at new construction and want to see it, you definitely have to get into the hard hat. It's all concrete, but I have been seeing a lot of the cabinetry there. It's being put into place, so you can see it, you can feel it, and you can get a pretty good idea of what your views are going to be like. But let's rifle through here a little bit. The thing about the Avery is pretty cool. They're creating what's called Avery Lane, which is going to be filled with like coffee shops and restaurants. So they're trying to create more of an atmosphere right at the base of the building. And I think that's going to be great because that's also going to tie into when they redo Folsom Street and they're going to narrow that street down and they're going to put more and more shops along that corridor right in front of Infinity, right in front of Lumina, as well as Mira, that you're going to have a lot of street shopping, and then you're going to end at Avery Lane. And I think it's going to be really spectacular. I think they have all of their leases except for one that they're trying to place. So I think that community feel is important, and I think that they're going to do a really good job of that. This is going to be the entry to the building. Now, Avery is residential units below, and then they're all rented. And then up top, it's going to be owner occupied, right? So you're going to have, it's all going to be a residential building. It's not mixed use, but you know that you're going to have rental people below. But there's going to be two separate entrances, two separate elevator banks, everything separated. And also for those that are worried about, well, there's rentals downstairs, those rental units are going to be pretty darn expensive, and they're going to be smaller too. So it's going to have a different look and feel. So if you are to buy at this and you were to rent it out, you're not necessarily competing, but you kind of got to think about that too, right? But here's the entrance to the main building. You're going to have all of this, copper cladding within the double high doorway, and that is being installed right now. Here's an example of the space. Now, I've been in these spaces, and sometimes when you don't have furniture, it kind of feels a little bit tighter. But this is just sort of a diagram of what it really would look like. And as I say, those kitchen cabinets are going in right now. So there's an example of the kitchens. It's going to be really very, very nicely done. Bathroom, very nicely done. And to where you're going to have in the bathrooms, you have marble throughout the entire bathroom. There's no paint except for the ceiling, right? So it's not like, oh, some tile over here, but it's paint. It's all sort of enveloped And so it really is going to have that very luxurious look and feel, without a doubt. This is a bathroom, secondary bath. And you can see it has texture on the walls. I like it. It looks really good. Here's the pool. So the Avery does have a pool. It has a whole club level where you're going to have separated rooms for Pilates, the gym, and the pool. Now, I was actually in the pool area a couple weeks ago, and they're working on it right now. But I was in this space, and it's coming along for sure. It's going to look really, really nice. An indoor pool like this actually reminds me of the pool at the St. Regis. Yeah, the St. Regis. And I thought it was just that, because part of it is because the pool it's elevated, it's high up, you're not on the ground floor, you're elevated, and so you do see views through the windows. I thought it was just, it's going to be a really nice space when it's done. Here's an example of what the gym is going to look like. Another area where, because that whole floor is going to be one, you go from one room to another room to another room. So you have your club room, you have your dining area, you have a fire area, the gym, the pool, all of that. So you're sort of taking a walkabout of the club level. That's what the interior is going to look like right when you walk into that space. Here's another example of the dining area, and then the parking within the Avery. So the Avery, I think, is really a very good building. I'm still trying to sell some units in there. My first unit, actually. I've been showing the building, and I really have to say it's very, very nice from a perspective to where you could walk in and see what you're buying. You could actually measure the rooms, right? And that's leading me right up to the next building, which is Mira. Now, Mira, it is the third project at that corner for the developer. That developer already was very successful with Infinity, and Infinity is one of my favorite buildings. It's really, it was at the time, it really blew the doors out, because you had this rounded feel to the living room, and so you have this more of a panoramic view. And then they take that same concept, 2 towers, 2 low rises, and they took that same concept over to Lumina. So Lumina is basically just a ramped up, more luxurious version of Infinity with higher prices, but those, the gym and everything, it's nice. I mean, it really took sort of that high-end luxury feel that Millennium had, and they brought it over into Lumina, right? So Lumina is all sold out, from the developer standpoint, except for, I think, 2 of the penthouses. But then they are creating Mira. Now, Mira is just north on Spear Street at Folsom, and it is a tower and a low-rise pedestal. But the tower, it's rounded and it spirals up, but it's all straight lines. And what you're going to end up having, it's like little individual skyboxes that are going to be protruding. So your living room is going to feel like it's protruding from the building, and your views are going to be, in front of you and the side to side. So, you're going to have that. It's just going to feel like you're floating a little bit, right? The difference is on this building compared to, Infinity, Lumina, Harrison, it's not a curtain wall construction, guys. So look at it. You can see that you're going to have this sort of that a white cladding. So the windows are not from floor to ceiling like you would get at some of the other buildings. And I'm really thinking about the Harrison and One Rincon, particularly because those are the buildings that are just it's all glass, right? So your glass view is a little bit lower. But I really think it's going to be cool, because the thing is about Mira, you are going to be right on the waterfront, maybe a half block, right? But you're right there. And that's one of the things I really like, because remember, guys, if you could afford it, get a great view, because all of those units are going to be selling. They're all going to be sold out at a certain point, 10 years down the road. What is going to make your unit stand alone? People are going to be looking at the building. They're going to be looking at the views. And remember, with these three buildings, you're going to those people are going to have to take into consideration that Melrose tax. You know, and that I think is one of the biggest things that people, when I show these buildings, they're going to go, oh, that Melrose tax. But what are the options? The options are going to be Infinity, Lumina, Harrison, One Rincon, The Blue, One Hawthorne, Millennium, right? Those are all those high-rise complexes just north of the Bay Bridge, right? In Soma and Yerba Buena area. So let's go through some of the pictures real quick, because I know I'm getting long-winded and you're probably tired of listening to me talk. But look, you are right on the waterfront. You are literally a half city block from Embarcadero. So the location of Mira, I think, is just great. I mean, without a doubt. If you wanted to have the most spectacular views, get the east-facing corner that you're going to look just like this. East-facing corner is going to look at Oakland, Bay Bridge. That's always going to be the #1 view, without a doubt. The opposite side of the building, however, if you like the city night views, which I personally do as well, it's like the second favorite view, you're going to have some great views from that point of view as well. Granted, there is going to be, you know, you're going to look at the Instagram building, and there's going to be one more tower that is going to be coming up in that corridor if you want to look back towards the city. But look at the spiral of this thing. It is killer. There is no other building that I have ever seen that's going to be like it. I just don't. I actually think that the exterior of this building is actually a little bit nicer than the interiors. However, I've only been in the showroom, guys. So, you know, that is, you know, that's something to be said. But look at the spiral going up. I just think it's just amazing how they take one line going up this entire building, and then they could shift the units around it. It really is going to be, I think, an icon within the city. Here is an example of the spaces, though, guys. The one thing I would have to say I'm not totally sure on, you know, you could say it's a curtain wall construction because look at the posts. You got all these posts that are going through it. But what I worry about is those posts intruding within my living space. Because this building, you're not going to have like the big squared out rooms, you know, like the A unit at Infinity, or, you know, some of the units at the Harrison, like an E unit at the Harrison, or an 06 unit at One Rincon, to where you have just your standardized squared out room. You're not going to get that here. So you're going to have to, you know, be comfortable with the layout, in my opinion. But I also don't think there's a lot of wasted space in the layout. Here's an example of what these units are going to be like. You know, I've been in the showroom, and I think this is a unit from the showroom. Well, actually, I think this is a computer-generated unit, just because I think the views are a little bit different within the showroom. But that's going to give you a good, solid feel of what the unit's going to look like. You're going to have your kitchen to the side. You're going to be sitting there working. You're going to have great views. You're going to have these posts that are going to come in. So there's always a pro and a con, guys. Absolutely nothing is perfect. I know that. So from my point of view on Mira, the pros, hey, new construction, unique construction. The developer is a very, very good developer, and they stand behind their products. And you're going to get amazing views if you want. The downside is the Melrose tax, as well as you got to be comfortable with the layout. And that's just it. You're also going to have some BMR units in this, in the low rise of this. You're also going to see BMR units over at the Avery. The Avery has that lower level building too, and that's going to be the BMR below market rate unit. And some people have issues with it. I don't really see it. I think those people need a place to live, and you know, they have to qualify, and they want to be homeowners. So that's part of that. So just so you know, there are going to be BMR units associated with this building on the low rise, not on the high rise. But that just gives you a little bit of an example of what the finishings are going to look like, you know, and the views, guys. It's going to be a fantastic building. I guarantee it. I think it's really just a matter of the problem I find when I show people Mira is just they can't get into the building, so they can't really visualize the end product, right? Because, you know, Avery Avery, the first move-ins are going to be June or July. You know, you're going to be waiting another year for Mira for you to get in there. But I think it's still going to be a great product, great location. So I just wanted to give you a flavor for what the amenities are going to look like. And that's going to be your end picture, guys. So I'm gonna stop my share, come back to y'all. Let me know if you guys have any questions with regards to these buildings. You know, I do think that area, there's only going to be a couple more lots that are coming up. I know that the Four Seasons partners are creating that other building on Mission Street, but that's going to be sort of on the other side of the downtown or that, you know, all of the construction. It's going to be more towards the Market Street, more towards the mall down there, right? These buildings are fabulous. I do think that there are options for you if you don't want to stomach the Melrose tax, because it could get pretty expensive. But I think also at that luxury level, they're all going to be really, really nice. And you clearly have to afford it, and you've got to want to live there. For the alternatives, as I say, you know, a lot of people are finding very good value at the Harrison right now, as well as the resale units, because the Harrison is still selling new, right? I actually should have included it. If you want a view, go to the Harrison, right? If you want a view, go to Mira. Harrison's not going to have the Melrose tax, and I'm negotiating deals over there right now. And then the other standards are going to be Infinity, Lumina, One Hawthorne, the Blue every once in a while. Those are more boutique-y buildings. And then you have buildings south of the Bay Bridge, but we're not going to talk about those because it's a little bit different. Anyway, so I hope this information has been helpful for you. You can tell that I'm just rambling about it because I know these buildings pretty well and I know my stuff. So if you have any questions, just reach out to me. I'd be happy to help you. And I really hope the information was useful for you. If you have somebody that you know, share it with them. You know, please share my YouTube channel. I'd love to get it out there. I actually got contacted just yesterday on somebody that was watching my channel, so I'm happy about that. So I know the city very well, also the different neighborhoods. So remember, there's a lot of people that want new construction, want to be down here in South Beach, but there are fabulous established neighborhoods, Pacific Heights, where I'm at, Nob Hill, Russian Hill, all of that other stuff. Maybe not new construction, but high-rise condos or Victorians. Really just depends on what you're after, guys. So reach out, and thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. Take care, guys. Let's see if I can end this. Okay, take care. Yeah, stop recording.